When that convoy of shiny black SUVs rolled up my gravel driveway at 8 a.m., engines idling, exhaust curling in the humid air, I knew I was in for a fight that wasn't about misunderstandings or misplaced paperwork. Nope, you don't bring a whole motorcade, a real estate agent in a starched suit, and half a dozen clipboard-wielding extras just to clarify jurisdiction. That's a takeover, plain and simple. I was sweaty from mowing the front yard, old Credence blasting in my earbuds, and there they were, lining up like they owned the whole world. First out was Karen, the queen bee of High Creek Bluff Estates HOA, strutting across my lawn in that cream blazer and wedge heels, barking, "You're supposed to be gone. You were evicted as of 1 a.m. Just like that, in front of everyone. And that's how this war started. Not the kind with fists or shouting, but the quiet, vicious war that's all signatures and notarized threats, played out in the dead language of bureaucracy. Honestly, that's where I'm at my best. See, my house sits in this weird no-man's land, wedged between two HOA zones, but not technically part of either. I snagged it at a state auction. 6 years ago, cash up front, taxes paid, garden planted. Didn't join a Souls Club, didn't need a pool pass, didn't even care about the holiday lights contest. I was invisible until Karen, because nothing threatens a self-appointed dictator like someone they can't boss around. That morning was textbook Karen. By the time I'd shut off my mower, there were 4 vehicles blocking the mailbox and a real estate agent with the world's fakest grin trailing Karen like a lost puppy. The buyers looked straight out of a magazine spread, measuring the deck, peering through my windows, already picturing themselves sipping coffee in my kitchen. Karen didn't even blink. She just pushed through the gate, snapped open her folder, and started reading. This property is now designated for community transition under HOA Article 17C. Scheduled viewing. Do not interfere. I just stared at her, lawnmower still humming, sweat stinging my eyes. You're trespassing, I told her, flat as I could manage. And if one more person sets foot on my grass, I'm calling the sheriff. She smiled like she'd already won, waving at the real estate guy to start his sales pitch. That was it for me. I called the county. 15 minutes later, Deputy Lamb rolls up, big, gruff, the type who probably moonlights as a football coach. I knew him from courthouse runs, years back. Morning, Jarrett. What's going on? He asks, looking at the circus in my yard. Karen practically lunges at him, shoving her folder under his nose. The property's forfeited under HOA regulations. Deputy, I am authorized to secure community assets. Lamb starts flipping through the papers, not impressed. Ma'am, these are HOA memos, not deeds. No county signatures. None of this is legal. Karen insists it's a community-level filing, but Lamb shuts her down. Then it's worth about as much as a grocery receipt. I pull out my tax receipts, paid 3 days ago, hand them over. Lamb barely glances at them. Everything checks out. Ma'am, you and your guests are trespassing. Pack it up. That was the first crack in her mask. The buyers scurried back to their cars. The realtor looked ready to faint. Karen glared at me like she wanted to bite. You think you can humiliate me? You'll regret this. I didn't flinch. Just stood there, hands on the mower, watching the sheriff take notes. That night, I barely slept. Not scared, just on alert. People like Karen don't go away. They regroup, plan, scheme in the dark. By sunrise, I was parked outside the Travis County Property Office, waiting for it to open. The clerk, a quiet guy who smelled like burnt coffee, pulled up my parcel number and slid a sheet across the counter. This came in 2 weeks ago, he says. Filed by the HOA, not ratified. Some kind of notice of non-tissage and abandonment declaration, claiming I'd left my land idle for 18 months and they'd reassigned it. I laughed so hard the clerk nearly jumped. I mowed it yesterday, I told him. He shrugged. We see these kinds of overreaches all the time. They get bold. I marched over to zoning next. Lynn, the zoning officer, frowned at her screen. You're a buffer parcel, bought at auction, no annexation. HOA's tried twice to pull you in, denied both times. Then she scrolled down, lips tight. Look at this internal memo. Target for eventual acquisition. That's when the cold hit my stomach. They weren't just messing with me. They had a plan. I called Sandra Travers, my lawyer, the toughest woman I know. She's got the patience of a judge and the bite of a rattlesnake. I sent her everything. She called back inside the hour. They've done this before. 2 other homeowners, same tactics. Same realtor. One lost his house. That's when I stopped reacting and started fighting back. Sandra filed a public records request, bypassed the HOA, went straight to the county registrar. The files poured in, and what a mess. Fake board members, cut and paste minutes. Every signature created 3 weeks ago, on Karen's laptop, no less. Right on the front page, Phase 1, Transitional. Occupancy. My address. This wasn't incompetence. It was organized fraud. So, I went nuclear. I called a reporter named Jana Hall. She'd made her name busting dirty HOAs. She showed up with a camera. Crew. Eyes wide as I walked her through the evidence. Fake forfeiture, fake open house, forged filings. This isn't policy, she muttered. This is racketeering with a prettier lawn. The story aired that night. HOA or land thieves. Neighbors started knocking. One woman's shed bulldozed for beautification. Another's driveway reclassified as community easement. Karen had been pulling this con for years. Sandra moved fast, filed an emergency injunction, froze every HOA property action for a quarter mile. A deputy marched the paperwork right up to Karen's door. Rumor is she slammed it so hard the porch shook. Next day, a guy in a logo shirt shows up outside my fence with a clipboard, just updating HOA boundaries. I handed him the injunction. This is a protected parcel now. Walk away. He did, quickly. That night, Sandra called. We've got names, even if half are fake. Every file, metadata traces back to Karen. It's falling apart. Then, out of the blue, I get an email from Dana, a former HOA accountant. She's got a map marked Property Absorption Schedule. My parcel, Phase 1. 8 more to follow. Sandra meets Dana the next morning, gets a USB drive loaded with years of fake invoices, doctored budgets, memos all signed by Karen. Same pattern, across half the neighborhood. 2 days later, 2 plainclothes investigators from financial crimes knock on my door. I hand over everything. Videos, forged documents, auction flyers, even phone footage of Karen's goon squad. One agent, Flores, looks up. You realize this could be an HOA laundering ring? This case might crack it open for the whole state. That week, a judge freezes every real estate transaction tied to High Creek Bluff Estates. That's when Karen finally snaps. At sunset, another black SUV shows up. A guy in a gray polo with HOA enforcement stitched on his chest marches up and staples a neon orange, pending reclamation notice to my fence. I walk out, phone in hand, voice calm as still water. You've got 10 seconds to leave. He smirks, starts quoting HOA authority. I hold up the judge's restraining order. You are 1 staple away from contempt of court. He freezes, rips the notice off, and leaves without another word. Next morning, the forensic team shows up, collects every last scrap of HOA paperwork from Karen's house. Sandra builds the timeline. Dead board members used to pad quorums, doctored bank records. Even the realtor caught flipping abandoned houses through shell companies. One of the buyers files a ID. They slap her with 8 felony counts: fraud, forgery, misappropriation, no bail. At the hearing, she's in cuffs. I wear a plain gray suit. Listen as the judge recites every one of her crimes. Fake auctions, forged deeds, zoning lies. Then the verdict. This property was never under HOA jurisdiction. All actions void. HOA dissolved pending state oversight. Karen doesn't look at me, not once. She doesn't have to. The silence in that courtroom, let me tell you, that was better than applause. 2 weeks later, county crews ripped out every last illegal sign. That hideous for sale banner. Even the wooden gate Karen had nailed up like a trophy. I watched from my porch. No gloating, just relief. When the dust settled, I built a new fence. Iron, black, 12 feet tall, cameras on every post. Not because I'm scared, but because I'm done playing nice with people who think kindness is weakness. On that gate, I mounted a copper plaque. This is not your HOA's backyard. Probably remembering the showdown. Not the noise, not the court case, but the day someone finally said enough. That's what changed around here. Control doesn't mean fear anymore. It means respect. So if you ever find yourself staring down an HOA bully, here's what I learned. Don't yell. Document. Endure. Outlast. That's how you win. Now, tell me, Where do you draw the line between standing your ground and letting community walk all over you? Drop your stories and your take in the comments. And if you want more true tales of taking power back, hit that like, subscribe, and share your own HOA battle scars. Because justice only works when we speak up, and sometimes, when you least expect it, the little guy wins.